Canda, Estrata, Amantos. Canda, Amatos, Canda. Hi there, welcome to Cinema Blind Spots. I'm William.
I'm Chris.
And we're here to talk about Evil Dead 2 today, which is a horror classic, cult classic. Everyone's seen this movie. Everyone apparently, except this guy.
And I said to you, I haven't seen Evil Dead 2 yet. What would you think?
I'd think that you're a cinematic idiot and I'd feel sorry for you.
All right.
Somehow, this guy has such intimate knowledge of so many different schlocky horror movies, and yet I cannot believe when I heard that you have never seen this masterpiece.
These movies just kind of missed me by. I knew of them, but like I didn't grow up with them, and it wasn't until I was already in my mid to late 20s that I discovered Army of Darkness, which I loved. And even then, I still just never felt the need to go back and check it out. And then eventually I did see the first Evil Dead because I got kind of interested because of the remake. I liked it, and then I just never watched Evil Dead 2.
I was shown this film when I was in high school. I watched a lot of movies in high school. I think everyone who's watching this channel can tell I was super popular. I would have movie nights with my friends. Again, super popular. One of my friends, she had been shown it by her dad, so when I was doing a horror movie night, she was like, you gotta watch this movie. And she presented it to me as one of those, this movie's so terrible, it's a lot of fun type of things. And so that's kind of when I first watched it, was like, oh my God, this is so awful. Like the special effects are cheesy, but I didn't understand it at that time, I guess, in context of what it means for Sam Raimi. Now I do. I've returned to it over the years. Every single time I watch it, I get it. Absolute joy from this movie. Now I've seen all of the movies, of course. Evil Dead 2 is, I wouldn't say it's necessarily my favorite of the saga. I think I'm kind of in the camp with you that Army of Darkness is a better film.
You know your shoelace is untied.
It's slicker, it's more polished, the special effects work, and while Evil Dead 2 is leaning heavily into the comedy, I think Army of Darkness refines it.
Oh yeah.
You know, they really nail it in the head there, and I think the Ash Williams that is in Army of Darkness is more the Ash Williams that we come to associate with the character and with Bruce Campbell. That's, I think, of the version of the character that is in Ash vs. the Evil Dead television show, as opposed to the first Evil Dead being a very serious film, low budget special effects. I won't even call them bad special effects because with the money they had in all of these movies, they didn't have a lot. These were not big budget motion pictures, but with the money they had, they're pretty amazing special effects. Like,
oh yeah. Evil Dead 2 is definitely a conscious choice in how they're doing the special effects. I was talking to you earlier about it, how it's really interesting as a filmmaker to look at them and kind of reverse engineer them in your head of like how they did them. And it really just kind of makes you want to go out and make movies and recreate those types of visual effects. Like I think that's what's so great and incredible about the Evil Dead franchise as a whole.
I think it really shows that necessity is the mother of all invention. When you don't have the money, when you don't have the budget or the ability to make these super great special effects, you get creative. They did stuff that was really kind of cool and low budget, like when the camera is flying through the forest and then it breaks through a window. It's like that was basically just putting the camera in a wheelbarrow and putting a shovel with the handle sticking straight out but just under camera frame, so when it breaks through a window, the handle breaks the window and the camera goes through it. Like, that's really inventive, and it's so low budget.
I was thinking of the scene where after Ash blows a hole in the wall with the shotgun, and then the blood starts pouring out of the wall, and then they cut to a shot where he's obviously being propped up horizontal and they're just dumping water on top of him, but the angle of the camera makes it look like it's shooting out at him.
Right.
It's great. It's so good.
These are the things that I came to love about the film when I would rewatch it and get more into Sam Raimi, and you know, to look at Evil Dead 2 or Evil Dead or Army of Darkness and to think within 15 years time period after making this movie, this guy would be directing a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
You know, like doing something huge like that. And I think that's his comedy, his sense of humor comes through in the Spider-Man movies as well. And I think all of his movies kind of have that like unique, distinct vision.
He's an incredibly inventive director.
Right.
He knows all these little tricks for how to get these different effects for how he wants to do them.
Chris, what did you think about Evil Dead 2 as someone who somehow never saw it? And I'm going to continue to shame you in this video.
I know, yeah.
Because you're an adult man who has never seen Evil Dead 2, and it's ridiculous.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was great. I thought the story was really fun. It's a little slow going, but once it kind of gets going and you're kind of approaching the latter half of the movie, like it gets really fun really fast. One thing I really liked about it, and I liked about like kind of the other sequels, is how they reinterpret what happened in the previous film.
Right.
Which is kind of an interesting concept. So obviously in Evil Dead 2, they spend the first like 5-10 minutes almost kind of retelling the story from Evil Dead 1, but simplifying it and streamlining it with just the two characters. And then even at the end where they have the big reveal with Ash going into medieval times. And then obviously in Army of Darkness, again, they kind of retell the story of Evil Dead 1, of Evil Dead 2, and also the ending of Evil Dead 2.
I love how they acknowledge the previous film, but then don't acknowledge it.
They just basically took the elements of the story, of the previous story, that they needed to be able to tell the current story that they wanted to tell, and that's what they sort of inform the audience on. As far as, look, this is what happened before, so now you know where we're going. And same thing with Army of Darkness. They did the exact same thing.
Similar to what Robert Rodriguez is doing with the El Mariachi trilogy.
Yeah, I would say
Like every movie like reinterprets, you know, El Mariachi, but only uses the element it needs to tell its current story.
I do really like the first Evil Dead, and I appreciate what they were trying to do with it, with trying to make like a very serious horror film. But I definitely do think like what Sam Raimi's style is and what he's really good at, like he's so funny, like, and he gets comedic timing and humor so well. Introducing the humor into Evil Dead 2 was just such a great choice.
I think it really works by having an actor like Bruce Campbell, who's such a physical actor too. Like when he's doing the whole thing with his hand being possessed and everything, and like, you know, he's doing somersaults over himself.
It's great slapstick humor. Just, you know, I believe Sam Raimi talks about how Three Stooges is a big influence on him, and you can definitely see that in these, especially in Army of Darkness.
Yeah. It's so funny how much you love Army of Darkness and never went back to the first.
I know, it's so bizarre, but
It's like watching Return of the Jedi and saying, I don't need to be bothered with Empire or New Hope.
I guess.
There's no story going on there that I need.
Well, they tell the whole story in the beginning of Army of Darkness. What do I need to see the first two for? What does it matter?
I saw Evil Dead 2 first, and I don't know why my friend showed me Evil Dead 2 first at the time, but obviously it's because she found it funny. But when I went back and watched Evil Dead 1, I assumed it was going to be more of the same thing. I was actually kind of bored when I saw the first Evil Dead, because it's not that. I mean, I've since come to appreciate it and love it, but it's not Evil Dead 2 and it's not Army of Darkness. It's a very different creature. It almost feels like it doesn't fit in the franchise, given how Ash vs. Evil Dead has, you know, just continued that comedy plotline.
Real quick, I just wanted to talk about how terrifying Linda's dance sequence is, and the stop motion model that they use is the thing of nightmares.
Yeah, and when they do the whole, like, her head rolls up to her body and like the neck goes down and then comes back up.
Yeah.
Great stop motion work.
Yeah.
But terrifying, especially with her headless torso doing like ballet. Unnerving. I love Evil Dead 2. It's one of those movies that I will trot out for no reason. Like there's some movies, like horror movies, you tend to watch them around Halloween or Friday the 13th or some kind of like scary holiday or whatever, but Evil Dead 2 is one of those movies where I'll be just like kind of going through my movie collection and be like, I'll watch Evil Dead 2. Like, I really love it.
I appreciate you recommending this film to me.
I'm glad that I finally
finally got.
Finally closed this blind spot for you.
Yeah, I know. I finally did it. I've completed it. I'm done. I watched the remake before I watched Evil Dead 2.
Very sad. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends all of our videos, all of our content. It helps us a lot.
Cheers.
Cheers.